Hi everybody on YouTube. I'm doing a little tour of all the movies I have, like my collection so far. I was kind of inspired by like the Cinemassacre videos where they showed off their enormous collections of, like hundreds of movies. I don't have that many, but I figured I might as well like start with what I have now, just to kind of, immortalize this moment in time where I have all these different movies and stuff. So I figured I just gotta go through each one, talk about it briefly. Um, yeah, so I guess we'll just start with the beginning. Um, I have these all alphabetized, I think. 500 Days of Summer. One of the better romantic comedies out there, one of the more smart ones. 12 Angry Men, classic, of course, if you haven't seen it. Great movie for only taking place in one room. And then I have both a DVD copy and like this homemade Blu-ray copy of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is my favorite movie. Possibly of all time, definitely my favorite sci-fi movie. Really good. And right next to it, a couple of my other favorite sci-fi movies, Alien and Aliens, like the only two good ones in that series. Alien and Aliens are kind of interesting because it's like Alien is more of a horror, while Aliens is more of an action thriller. But they're both very good in their own right. Amelie, kind of a slower. This movie's pretty high up on the IMDb top 250, and I don't know if it deserves to be that high. But it's kind of a unique little movie. American Beauty, kind of a movie about nothing almost. It's just this middle-aged guy who, I don't know what you'd call it, just kind of goes crazy and has a midlife crisis and everything that goes along with it. American Graffiti, it's George Lucas's second movie that he did, I think before Star Wars, if I'm not mistaken. Really good, takes place in one night and like everything that happens in it's really cool. I'm holding on to this because my mom bought it and just said, put it in your collection while you have it. It's like, oh, okay. Army of Darkness, phenomenal B movie. I don't have Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 in this collection right now. I own them, Evil Dead on Blu-ray, Evil Dead on DVD, Evil Dead on Blu-ray, but I don't have them with me because someone borrowed them. But I have all those movies. Wonderful. Apocalypse Now, great, almost horror. Really hard to describe. Barry Lyndon, kind of an overlooked Kubrick movie, but for how slow it was, or how long I should say, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good drama, I thought. Kind of in two halves. Kind of like this lone wanderer thing in the first half, and then him settling down with a family in the second. And I really liked it, actually. Really great, some of the best cinematography I've ever seen in a movie. Big Lebowski, of course, what can you say about it? It's the Big Lebowski. And then I have both the director's cut and the final cut of Blade Runner. I haven't seen the final cut yet, and I want to, but I've seen the director's cut, and it's pretty good. I really like it. Blazing Saddles, one of the best parody movies ever made. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, kind of an unconventional Western. I don't really want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but it's kind of interesting because it starts like in the end of their career after they've done all their stuff and they're on the run. It's really kind of fascinating. It's like it says quite a bit for saying so little. It's you kind of have to watch it to understand. Casablanca, of course, classic drama. Catch Me If You Can. It's a interesting Steven Spielberg movie. Picked it up because it was kind of cheap. There's a lot of movies like that in this collection. And then I got this double Charade and Harvey double feature thing. Charade's kind of like the Alfred Hitchcock movie Hitchcock never made. It's a pretty decent movie. It's fun. Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn, can't go wrong. And then Harvey, Jimmy Stewart, absolutely wonderful. it's one of those feel-good movies where it's just like such a wonderful character. Jimmy Stewart plays it's great. Chicken Run, Nick Hill. His name is Nick Hill, right? I think so. Is it? Where's the name? Autofocus. Nick Park. Who's Nick Hill? I don't know who Nick Hill is. Nick Park, Wallace and Gromit, one of my favorite cartoons of all time. Chicken Run, great movie. Watch it if you like that kind of stuff. Children of Men. You're not gonna ever really see a thriller or like suspense movie like this at all. The long shots are stunning. Just everything about it. It's a well put together movie. Chinatown, one of the better noirs, kind of confusing as every single noir is, it seems. But I really like the theme. Soundtrack's great, of course. Citizen Kane, of course. One of the best movies ever made. One of the ones that revolutionized movies in general. What more can you say? Clockwork Orange, possibly apart from 2001, my favorite Kubrick movie. It's just so iconic, so impactful, really. It's just, work of art, really unique. Clue, really fun movie. I don't remember who directed it. Tim Curry is great. Just, fun little movie. Again, another cheap one I picked up. Speaking of cheap ones I picked up, this is a kind of interesting Michael Mann movie. Kind of just a one-time watch thing, but it was like, $7 bin at Walmart, so I figured I'd pick it up. Interesting fact, he wrote detailed backstories for all the characters in the movie, even though, it doesn't really talk about them, just so that they have more to work with, that the actors had to work with. I thought that was really kind of fascinating. And you got Cool Hand Luke. This is, I don't know if I'd call it an underrated movie, but I think that it has a lot more potency than people give it credit for. There's a lot to Luke's character that just, I've watched this movie 2 or 3 times, at least twice, and I've just picked up on so much each time. Really kind of a fascinating movie. I recommend it highly. Coraline, this is Burton, right? Yeah. This is kind of a fascinating animated movie. I really enjoyed it, the portal to the different world. It was really creative and well put together. I really enjoyed it. Crash, people give me so much crap for liking this movie as much as I did. It's really flawed, but the acting is really raw, and the story is not only engaging, but kind of convicting, I guess. And it's just kind of an interesting look at racism. Overhyped, I think so. But I just enjoyed it for those aspects alone. It is what it is. Got The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Really long, interesting drama. Well put together. It's almost a period piece in a way. Highly recommended. David Fincher. So it's, gonna be a well put together movie. Alright, on to shelf 2 of 4. We have Deliverance. This is kind of a crazy movie because it goes to show, if you go far enough out into the wilderness with, no contact with anyone else and not the right supplies, you could die. And it can be such a simple thing to do and, put everything at stake. It's kind of crazy to see, this thriller of such almost minimalistic aspects. And it almost verges on, a horror movie towards the end. It's really fascinating. I recommend seeing it if you haven't. I really liked it. The Departed, Martin Scorsese, really interesting crime movie, very complex, well acted, phenomenal. And then one of my all-time favorites, I don't know if I'll get crap for this either, The Deer Hunter. People say that it might be over long, but I think it needs to be, because the first hour or so is just character development. It's just people at a wedding before they go off to the war, And it's really vital to kind of get a look at these characters and get attached to them before everything you can imagine bad happening to them does. And Christopher Walken is just absolutely incredible in it. The Russian roulette scene is one of the most intense I've ever seen in a movie. Just because, the characters have been established. You don't know if they're going to die or not. So, I mean, that's like, it's well written. Drive, Ryan Gosling. What more need I say? Dr. Strangelove, phenomenal. I don't want to overuse words, but I mean, these are the first things that come to mind. Great comedy, but you probably won't get it on your first few views. It's really kind of a comedy you have to let grow on you, usually, unless, you knew about the Cold War and everything that was surrounding it. But it's like one of the, another great movie, really. Dog Day Afternoon. Interesting movie. It's almost like, the 12 Angry Men, where it takes place in one place, pretty much, and just this bank robbery that goes, big on TV, live footage, not footage, but, live coverage. Well acted. True story, good stuff. Donnie Darko. This is maybe an underrated movie, overlooked movie, hard to say. But it's kind of a fascinating look into, like, whatever, I don't even know. Watch it if you like sci-fi, thriller, suspense, mystery. Eyes Wide Shut, probably Kubrick's least, how to say this, less well-received movie of his. I don't know. People usually don't like it, but I think it goes over a lot of people's heads. I think they analyze it too much. I really just feel that it's about a guy who goes on an odyssey and at night, and a sexual odyssey. Kind of, he's upset with his wife, and he just gets in over his head and learns his lesson. I mean, that's really all it is. Fantastic Mr. Fox. I love this movie so much. I watched it twice in one day, and I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. It's so classy. It's so witty. It's just, I love it. Good job, Wes Anderson. Fargo. This is a movie that I didn't enjoy the first time I saw it. It took me like a second viewing, and I loved it even more on the third. People try to, because it doesn't deliver what people normally expect or want that's satisfying from movies. It's just well put together. The scenes are great. The acting is great. The aesthetic is great. Very memorable. And you just kind of have to know who to root for. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This is among the best teenage movies ever made, apart from Breakfast Club, which I do not own at the moment. It's so carefree. It's so, I don't know, against the system or whatever you want to call it. But just watch it if you haven't. You'll love it. Fight Club, of course, mandatory for any movie collection. The Man with No Name trilogy, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, the best, of course. I don't really know what to say. Just these are great. Some of the best westerns ever made. The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, I'd say, is the best western ever made. It's cliche, but it's really true. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I didn't buy this. This was given to me. It's a crazy Terry Gilliam movie. That's all I'll say about that. The Floor. Golf shoes. Full Metal Jacket. Gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. It's really 2 different movies, 2 different stories. The first one is almost a psychological horror, and then it just turns into a war movie. I love the first part so much. The music, the lighting, the tone, just this whole boot camp psychological horror thing. I love it so much. The second part is almost an anti-war thing. It's just like, whatever. It didn't ring out as much for me, but I love the first part. Godfather, part 1 and 2. I don't own the third one because I haven't seen it yet, because I know it's not as good as the first two, and it's 3 hours of my time I have to invest. I know I'll do it eventually, but I just have to get around to it. I like there's parts of the second one I like better than parts of the first, but I think collectively the first one is just, iconic scene after iconic scene. And so you can't really go wrong with, calling the first one the best, really. Because there's parts in the second one, where it's just kind of, meh, it is what it is. Gone with the Wind, cheap $4 movie. Well, I mean, it's not a cheap movie, but it was cheap to buy. Kind of one of the big pioneers of film, gotta own it for $4. Goodfellas, one of Scorsese's best, next to Taxi Driver, I think. It's so insightful, I guess. I don't know. The atmosphere is great. This whole 80s, 90s, not 80s, 90s, what am I saying? When does this take place? 70s, 80s, maybe? 80s, I guess? I don't know. It captures the feel. Maybe it was like 50s or 60s. Maybe I'm like being really dumb. But it captures the feel really good of whatever time period it was. I feel stupid saying that, but it's true. I don't even remember what time period it is. Good Will Hunting. This was an Oscar sweep. Kind of. No, just screenplay and nomination sweep, I should say. It was big at the Oscars, is what I'm trying to get at. I think I don't know if it's overrated or underrated, but for, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, these two guys just writing a movie and making it is, really mature. Robin Williams' character is great. It's just a kind of heartfelt movie that everyone should watch at some point, I think. Gran Torino. This was supposed to be Clint Eastwood's last acting gig, I think. But for some reason, he started up again with other stuff. But if this was his last movie, it was a great way. If this was to be his last movie, it would have been a great way for him to go out. It's such a kind of one of those, career-ending movies where you have to kind of know Clint Eastwood and what movies he's been in for this to be, kind of a ending career or career-end movie. But it's very emotional, very good. I recommend it highly. The Goonies, of course. What more need I say? 80s movie paradise. The Grapes of Wrath. I think this was cheap. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd own it. But it's kind of it's just a good movie. Good drama. Not a whole lot to say. And then I have these two, hold on, camera's getting a little out of control. I have these 2 packs from Turner Classic Movies. This one's Hitchcock. Strangers on a Train, one I wanted to own. I haven't seen any of the other ones yet. The Wrong Man I've heard of. The other 2 I don't think I have. And then Murder Mysteries, Big Sleep. I couldn't freaking watch The Big Sleep. I had to leave before the end because I didn't want it spoiled. I got so confused with all the characters and who was doing what to who. I have the same problem with, where is it? Where are you? The Maltese Falcon. I have the same problem with that, which I'll get to in a bit. But it's just so confusing for me. I have to watch it again and pay more attention to it. Maltese Falcon. I have 2 copies. Dial M for Murder. One of my more favorite. It's kind of an underrated Hitchcock movie. It's really well put together, well written, and it's just small and simple and just great. Hitchcock at his best. Postman Always Rings Twice. Just a great noir. I mean, nothing more to say. Iconic scenes. Remember the restaurant and everything. It's real nice. Heat. Everyone's favorite Michael Mann movie. What am I saying? This is like a 3-hour, almost epic crime movie. That's really, like, almost not heartfelt, but just a real deep and insightful look into like crime and the cop and then the criminal side to it all, and everything that surrounds it. Really good. Moby God looking over the face of the water at the end is perfect. One of among the best comedies ever written. Freaking Edgar Wright is a genius at screenwriting. He knows how to do comedy, and I mean, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead is one of the best comedies ever made, and Hot Fuzz is right up there too. I don't own Shaun of the Dead yet because I'm a loser. I love Hugo. It's basically a movie about movies. It's really weird because it's named Hugo, but it, like, spoilers, last half shifts towards Ben Kingsley's character. Oh, I'm Ben Kingsley. And kind of the movie making boom, the pioneer, like, he's a pioneer. Did some of the first movies ever made. I mean, as a filmmaker, I just love this movie to bits. Martin Scorsese, actually. Inception, one of Chris Nolan, apart from Batman's best known movies. I love it. I mean, it's exposition bombs all over the place, and it's not really amazingly acted, but I just love the concepts that Nolan comes up with and executes. I mean, it's just kind of like not only my comfort thing, but it's like the things I'd like to do. This, I don't know, Tarantino. I don't own Django, I'm afraid. Tarantino, this one felt a little, I think it had pacing problems or something. I felt like something was missing. Like, even though it was long, it felt rushed. It's like it almost didn't focus on well, the bastards. I was trying to think of their name. It was like the 12 or something, these guys. Almost like they didn't focus on them enough, and it was just too much on like all the other characters. But I don't know, maybe that's the idea. But I enjoyed it. Great Tarantino fare as usual. Of course, you watch this every Christmas, and you just feel rejuvenated, and it's life affirming, and it just, I mean, it's like, be happy even though everything is crap. And gotta love that. Jaws. This was one of the first movies I ever owned for $3. And I mean, it's Spielberg doing what he does, making legends, classics. Horror filmmakers, take note. Don't reveal the monster until the last bit of the movie or later on in the movie. It creates suspense. Don't blow your cover early. Kill Bill Volume 1 and Shelf Jump. This is a little annoying. I'm going to get to this in a second. Kill Bill Volume 2. This is was intended to be one movie, but it got so long I had to split it. It's like a 4-hour action epic with just enough heart in it to kind of keep it moving, enough character. Because it's not just crazy violence. There's, the bride has a character and everything, and motives. And it's kind of just like an homage. That's what Tarantino almost does, is just like makes movies in genres that are homages to that genre in general. Just everything good about that genre. And so it's like, Django, the quintessential Western almost, or Kill Bill, the quintessential Japanese action movie, that kind of thing. Now let me get to this. These are where I have like my box set things. Alfred Hitchcock, The Legend Begins. Let's see here. We got some just like his old, 30s, 20s, 30s movies. Things like 39 Steps and The Lady Vanishes. The Man Who, where is that? Man Who Knew Too Much, the original Peter Lorre one. Just his old movies. Cheap, good box set. The Bridge on the River Kwai. This was actually a surprisingly cheap set here, and it's kind of cool because it's like a book. Bridge on the River Kwai. It has the Blu-ray, and then In the back it has the DVD, as well as a bunch of like cards or something of artwork. I don't know, I haven't opened it. And then just like, a bunch of pages of almost behind the scenes, just, memorabilia, whatever you want to call it. This is kind of a cool little box set for how cheap it was. I think it was only like $15. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it was good. And then Seven Samurai. I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't seen this. I'm gonna regret this. It's gonna be a pain to put back in. It comes with this like little book. Just like, behind the scenes kind of thing. And then this huge Criterion collection, so, it's got a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But I don't think a lot of people have really seen it, is the thing. And I feel like they should, because if you haven't, yeah, I'm gonna regret this. It wasn't that bad. If you haven't seen old Japanese movies, hold on a second. If you haven't seen any old Japanese movies before, it's a really interesting place to start. To kind of look, it almost is a look at the culture and like the way they live. If you've seen The Magnificent Seven before, that was based on this. And I'm currently reading The Wolves of the Kala, the 5th Dark Tower book, which is also kind of based on this premise of a village that needs help. So it's a fascinating movie. It took me 2 sittings because it was 3 hours. It's a little jarring just because it's a Japanese movie with, culture back in the 50s, or, not technically in the 50s, but even earlier. But I recommend it highly. And we got, of course, the complete Lord of the Rings extended puppies. Look at these. I mean, just like behind the scenes galore. And this movie, Peter Jackson knows how to creatively make a movie, and this is just gold. Back to the Future, of course. I don't want to take it out. Back to the Future, complete trilogy, all 3 movies. This, I like to consider it one movie almost, and people say, what's your favorite part? And I'm just like, they kind of all have to run together. You can watch the first one on its own, but you have to kind of get the whole experience, because they're not cheaply made sequels. It's not like what I'm expecting Godfather 3 to be, and just kind of, be like, it's a kind of a final note for it to go out on. It's like, this is a complete package. It's all one thing. It's all one story. You can end it with the first, but there's more to it. So I like to consider it all as one movie almost, one 5.5-hour movie. But if you haven't seen this, good gosh, it's like adventure, one of the best adventure movies ever made. It's just, great, one of my favorites. Dark Knight Trilogy, this was like $27 at Walmart. Comes with like a behind the scenes book or whatever. Blu-ray, Begins is alright. Rises, not amazing, but The Dark Knight, one of the best comic book movies in history. And I just wanted to own the trilogy. I didn't want to just own, The Dark Knight, because I'm not that kind of guy. So those are like my box sets so far. I have a Sci-Fi Classics 50 movie pack coming eventually, which has 50 like old public domain movies in it. So that would be kind of cool. Okay, so now we're on the bottom shelf. No, not the bottom. Almost bottom. We're getting there. In case you haven't noticed yet, I own all of the Kubrick movies. Oh, Fear and Desire. Someone borrowed that. I don't know who, but I own that. The Killing. I don't know if you'd consider Fear and Desire his first movie, but I like to consider this his first real movie that got him recognition. It's a great heist movie in like the 50s. I think it was. I think it's 50s. Is really enjoyable. If you like old movies, watch The Killing. I haven't seen Killer's Curse yet, but I own it. It actually came with Fear and Desire as well, so I technically have 2 copies. This was the first movie I ever owned. It was a birthday present, and, I mean, it's Kindergarten Cop, quotes, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's what you get. L.A. Confidential, great noir, one of my favorites along with Chinatown for modern noirs. Little Shop of Horrors, the director's cut with the proper ending. I could talk a bit about this movie, about like the theatrical, the play ending, and the director's cut ending, but it's kind of like a big quandary. But it's one of the better musicals I've seen. The music is so good. Like, it's well written. It doesn't feel like it's wasting your time like so many other musicals do. Lolita, the more controversial Kubrick movie, basically almost about a pedophile. But it's kind of, but it's like it's told in such a graceful way that it's like you oddly just accept it. It's a really interesting drama. It's almost like a road trip movie at some points. Kind of fascinating. I really don't know what I think about it. Lost in Translation. Oh, gosh, dang it. I know a lot of people who despise this movie. They think it's boring. I mean, it's like, okay, I understand it's slow, but I mean, it's not as slow as like, a 4-hour Sense and Sensibility special miniseries, which is, equally as engaging and eventful. But Lost in Translation is one of my favorite romantic movies ever because it is so understated. It's very subtle. The characters, you just like, there's so much imagination you need to fill in what's meant to be missing from them, I guess. Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson, their characters, they're basically lost. They aren't happy with their romantic life. And they just kind of have like where is it? Right there. They have a Roman holiday moment of just this little bit of fun. It's kind of a special movie, I think, but a lot of people, it's really like people get torn. It's like you love it or hate it thing, and I love it. Okay, so the Maltese Falcon. I mean, I don't know. I was just so confused by it. I didn't know who was doing what to who. Blah blah blah. But it was good. I mean, I enjoyed what I could of it. But I mean, apart from the confusing factor, it was a good noir. The Matrix. This is kind of an overlooked movie these days, I think. It was kind of... It had a lot of flaws, I'll give it that, but it put forward this like really interesting idea. Are we brains in jars, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of interesting. I saw an article or something saying that like there were scientists trying to look into that and see if it's like true or not. Or like, debunk it, I guess, which is kind of interesting. But this is like a mashup of a lot of different genres, which surprisingly worked. And speaking of this guy, he's also in this movie, which is Christopher Nolan's second movie. I don't own Following. Phenomenal movie, excellent script, good acting, really interesting. It's a lot more like resonating with me than it is with other people, I think. It's kind of a tragic story if you think about it. We got Monty Python Holy Grail, Monty Python Life of Brian. I haven't seen Life of Brian yet. I plan on doing that. Holy Grail, just phenomenal random comedy. I love it so much. The ending is the best thing in the world. Classic. Everyone loves it. If you don't, then what the heck? M. Here's an example of a movie along with like Drive and a few others, where I custom made it myself because of some Star Wars movies I'm going to get to in a bit. But this is the Criterion cover, and then on the inside, I took the Criterion cover and I just made my own personal like DVD label for it. And then I have like the classic M picture on the reverse, so you can see that through the inside. But if you don't know anything about M, it was one of the first thrillers ever made, and it was kind of like a precursor to Hitchcock. Really good acting. It's tense. It's 1931. So it's an older movie. German subtitles. German language, so you have to have German, English subtitles for it. But if you don't mind silent film, not silent films, just different language films, and you want to see like a before Hitchcock movie, that's what you watch. Moon. Here's another custom made one. This is kind of an overlooked sci-fi movie from Duncan Jones, David Bowie's son. It kind of borrows from a couple other movies, but apart from that, it's pretty original, and I really enjoyed it for that. Good, it's a good concept. Good acting. It's just a well put together sci-fi movie, and I really recommend it. Another cheap $5 movie, Mrs. Doubtfire. It's freaking Mrs. Doubtfire. Nacho Libre, I wouldn't own this if it wasn't $3. I haven't even seen it fully. That's all I'll say about that. Napoleon Dynamite, this was a gift. It's Napoleon Dynamite. It's kind of a screwball. I wouldn't call it screwball. It's just a random comedy. I don't know. I don't see how people can like this and not like Monty Python, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. New country for old country for new men. This is a Coen Brothers movie. Fargo, Big Lebowski, all that good stuff. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Interesting thriller. Javier Bardem plays a good villain. It's tense, well shot. Good things to learn from this if you're trying to make a thriller. It's just a nice movie. North by Northwest, one of Hitchcock's more famous movies. Just a great thriller, espionage, mystery. Cary Grant's amazing, as always. Office Space, classic cult comedy. If you've ever had a job before, you're gonna like this movie because it just spoofs or satirizes. What's the word I'm looking for? Jobs in general in such a good way. That's why everyone loves it so much. Once I was given this movie by, I think, my sister. I don't think she said she'd never watch it. It's a flawed romance drama. The music is amazing. I love the music. Glenn Hansard and Marquette Glover are wonderful. And they decided to make a movie on a couple handycams. And this is the result. They're just a music duo, and they decided, well, let's make a movie. So it kind of feels a little forced, like they're taking their real life and putting it into, I wouldn't say forced, but it's like they're streamlining their life into this fictional story. And it's like, I don't know how you'd call it. It feels a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little off, I guess. Just kind of has a weird touch to it. But it's just, there's really good parts with the music. So I'd recommend watching it once. Not because it's bad, but because it's worth a watch. Yeah, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Nick Jackelson. Oh gosh, stop. It's a great drama, just about like going against the system. Not like anarchy, but I'll stop talking now. Watch that movie. On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. This is what's his name? Elia Kazan. Is that a woman or a man? I don't remember. Also did the Streetcar Named Desire, I believe. Yeah. This is my favorite drama. I think. It's kind of a classic, and Marlon Brando, I wouldn't say he hams it up, but he delivers his character, his acting, his role in a interesting way. I mean, the classic line was really powerful when I watched it, for good reason. It's not just one of those classic lines, like "we're gonna need a bigger boat," where it's like, okay, I get it. But the line in this movie actually had some weight to it. I really enjoyed that movie. Paths of Glory. This is one of Kubrick's earlier movies with Kirk Douglas. Just heart-wrenching. Kind of an anti-war movie, but just like when people higher up want what they want, they'll get it, and there's nothing you can do about it, even if you're right. It's just a really kind of painful movie, and it ends on such an emotional note, but it's so good, so good. The Pianist. I always say Pianist because Pianist, I mean, this was Oscar sweep, sort of, and it deserved it. Basically, this guy goes through World War II on the run, seeing a ton of crap. And spoilers, one of the last scenes of the movie, he's playing this piano piece. It was Chopin's Ballad No. 1 in G minor. And he does it so emotionally, and it's one of the most... It's like there's few movies I've watched where I've like welled up with tears, or like my eyes have welled up. You get that emotion, I guess, that reaction from your body. I'm talking so strange, and that scene was one that did it. I mean, they deserved all of the awards they got. My talking has gotten bad. What's happened? Here's another custom-made DVD. This is not a real cover. This was a custom-made cover by someone. There's a website. I don't remember what it is. Maybe I'll put like not an annotation, but like a thing in the description, or a title over the video for that website. Hello. But they do custom covers. You have to kind of pay for them a little bit. They cost like credits or something. Then you can buy like a thing of credits, but they're really nice covers if you ever are into that kind of a thing. The Princess Bride. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, you gotta owe it to yourself. I mean, it's adventure, swashbuckling, almost like a meta fiction kind of thing where he's reading the book to his grandson. It's so magical, and it's movie making, and it's like, most crisp and, well, magical. The Producers. I love this movie. This is Mel Brooks' first movie, I think. And it's just fun. It's just, Gene Wilder's great. Just a ton of fun, that movie. I haven't seen Prometheus. This was like a birthday or Christmas present. It's like it was intended to be a prequel to Alien, but it turned into like its own movie. And I guess there's a sequel coming out for this too. But I heard mixed things about this. There's a lot of like unanswered questions or something behind it. I'm kind of interested in it. I haven't watched it yet though. Punch Drunk Love. This is one of only two, I think, Paul Thomas Anderson movies I own. This is one of my more favorite ones. It's a really quirky comedy that kind of hits home for me. It's just really strange and unique, and that's kind of what sets it apart from the rest of the crowd. Raising Arizona, Coen Brothers again. This is like their more, not really family-oriented comedy, but it's a lot cleaner than the other stuff. A lot of fun. Nicolas Cage is great. It's almost like an adventure movie, actiony in some places. really kind of nice. I say family movie because it's about family. That's kind of the main theme of it. But it's comedy at the heart of it, so I'd recommend that. Obviously. Okay, now we're on the bottom. We're getting down to the nitty gritty of it all. Oh gosh. Okay, Rear Window. My favorite. I know it's cliche, a lot of these things, but this is my favorite Hitchcock movie. It all takes place from the one apartment. We never like really leave the apartment apart from the apartment apart from a couple scenes, and it's just filmmaking pioneering thriller at its peak. It's a great movie. Rebecca. This is another Hitchcock movie. One of those complicated, like anatomy of a murder kind of, where it's intricate. There's a lot of twists and turns. You don't know who's who. Different people end up being different. But it's really kind of an interesting, like, romance sort of movie. Romantic thriller, I guess. Check it out if you haven't. It's one of the more kind of overlooked ones. Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's first movie. He kind of stole from a lot of other movies, but he pioneered his own thing with this, and it shows, he kind of forged his own genre, really. Roman Holiday. I know people who love this movie and people who don't, because spoilers, I don't want to spoil it, basically just the ending. It's like Lost in Translation, sort of. It's kind of spoilers. But people get upset. It's like 500 Days of Summer. They get upset because, more or less, they don't get together in the end. And, I mean, that works in some things, but people want that and they don't get it and they get upset. But this is just like a fun, I wouldn't call it tryst because that involves sex, and they don't have sex in this movie. As far as I can tell. You never know, things go off screen. Oh, don't do bad things behind the DVDs, guys. Anyway, that's a great movie. You should watch it. You should also watch Rope. Oh, this is like a film experiment almost. That's Kubrick. Hitchcock, I think, wanted to do like this play thing. He wanted to make it feel like a play. So it is an hour and a half or so, hour 20 minutes. Of like this, what's supposed to be a non-stop fluid movie. Back then, film reels were up to like 10 minutes long, and they would film in 10-minute segments, and it all takes place in this one apartment. Basically, two guys kill someone and then invite friends of the guy over for a party to see if they can like find the body in the apartment. But like the shots last 10 minutes, and it's amazing. They had to like move the set around as they filmed. And like the shots would go up to someone's back and black out to like hide the cuts. And there's only like 2 cuts in the movie that were obvious, like cuts from one shot to the next. But it's a really interesting movie in that respect, and you should watch it. And it's a decent mystery thriller as well. Rosemary's Baby. This is... Oh gosh, one of, I think it's tied for my favorite horror movie. I think, or thriller, closer to horror thriller, not like flat out horror. Movie. It wasn't at all what I expected, and it's just very intense and looks into Rosemary's persona a little bit. Just well put together. Like there's plot points that get introduced early on in the movie and resolved at the end, and it wraps up nicely, and it's really good. Saving Private Ryan, Spielberg, war movie, violent, emotional, get what you pay for. See here, this is like down on the ground. Yeah. I have movies missing here. People borrow my movies all the time. Scarface, the original 1930s one. This and the newer Al Pacino movie have nothing in common apart from the name. It's a mob movie from the 30s, and I haven't seen it yet. I just got it from my girlfriend. She got it at a garden sale, a garage sale or something. 7. This movie will mess you up. It is devastating. Uh, it's thriller done at its best, like a graphic thriller done at its best. It's about these 7 like murders based around the 7 deadly sins, something like that. Gluttony, lust, blah blah. And it's really, I mean, you always see the murders happen. They always happen off screen, so you just see the aftermath, or sometimes not even that. And you have your imagination to fill in the rest, and it's just perfect in that regard. Some people don't like the ending because of the way it makes them feel, to which I say, that's the idea. The Shawshank Shiv Redemption. Oh, I keep doing that. Classic movie. It's number 1 on the IMDb Top 250. I don't think it should be, but it is phenomenal. It's kind of uplifting. Story's good, based off of a short story by Stephen King, actually. Watch it if you haven't. One of those musts or something. Shutter Island, kind of an I wouldn't say underrated Scorsese movie, but I think a lot of people hated on it. I think it was just kind of simple. It was just a simple movie, it was kind of fun for him to make, I think. Mystery thriller type deal. I was kind of interested by it. Silence of the Lambs, the better of the, Hannibal movies. Best one, obviously. Just great thriller. Sin City. This is really hard to get good angles. Oh, let me fix this. Sin City. This is an interesting movie. Normally I like my movies. I like my movies like I like my women on shelves. I like movies that are done, real. Real effects, everything done in front of the camera, not afterwards. But this is one of those movies, it's like with 300, where the green screening stuff kind of lends itself to it. I love this movie. It was stylistic. I like the episodic way it was done and the way they kind of carried it over from one to the next. I recommend it if you like stylish noir. Very good. The Sixth Sense, cheap movie. Manoj Night Shyamalan. That's his first name, Manoj. Before he started going, absolutely crazy with ego and crap. It's a Sixth Sense, it. Snatch, intricate Guy Ritchie movie. Very complex, very kind of testosterone-inducing movie. Guys like it. Well written, good acting. The Social Network. This was a cheap, like $3 movie. Nice little movie about Facebook, and kind of the way it was, started up and everything behind it. Kind of the culture of Harvard and everything like that. Some Like It Hot, one of my favorite, just fun movies. Jack Lemmon is great. Tony Curtis is great. Marilyn Monroe is a stupid. Yeah, okay. It's Billy Wilder. It's great. Absolutely fun. Source Code. I think I got this for my birthday. The second movie that was done by Duncan Jones, who did Moon. It's a decent thriller. I'd call it go back to Joker. Spaceballs. Mel Brooks spoofing Star Wars. I feel bad because it's not a cassette like they use in the movie, but oh well. It's, good movie. Spartacus, haven't watched it completely yet. I think it's one of the only Kubrick movies I haven't seen yet. with Kirk Douglas in it. The Kubrick documentary, A Life in Pictures, like 2.5 hours or so, but it's really insightful, goes by quick. Interesting look at Kubrick and his life. Okay, now these here I need to talk about for a bit. These are the despecialized edition Star Wars. For those of you who don't know, George Lucas he constantly re-releases Star Wars, and he released it on Blu-ray with a ton of changes. One of the biggest that people gripe about is the Han Solo Greedo scene, where he's in the bar and Greedo wants to take him away, and Han Solo just shoots him out of nowhere. But they changed it in the Blu-ray to where Greedo shoots first and misses, and Han Solo does it in self-defense. So it's like, on top of the countless, aesthetic, adding a few rocks to a scene or putting a window in a hallway, like pointless stuff like that, he completely changes like the character of Han Solo with that one scene, and people got really upset. So a guy, I don't know if it has his name on here. I don't know who did this. Where's your name? Where's your name? I don't think his name is on here. I can't tell. Basically took Star Wars, like a few different prints of Star Wars, and like made them HD and remastered them to make them like as close to the theater version as possible. And the inside has like Star Wars Despecialized Edition. It came with like artwork you could download and print out. Some guy put these in the back, so I did that too. I mean, they're just, it's Star Wars how they're meant to be seen. And I mean, until Lucas releases them properly on Blu-ray, this is how I'm going to own them. So get to it, Lucas. Get to it. Okay, getting close to the end. Taxi Driver. Probably Martin Scorsese's best movie and one of the best character studies ever. Robert De Niro, this is easily his best role he's ever done, next to like Raging Bull, which I don't own. But just, this is more of a character movie than a story movie, which people don't really get. But they kind of go hand in hand, but the character kind of holds the story. Watch this movie if you haven't yet, just to kind of get it under your belt. It's just like one of those aspects of film you kind of have to dive into. The Sting is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's fun. The last half is just like this non-stop, not thrill ride, but just ride into this like majestic end that's just fun and wonderful. And Paul Newman and Robert Redford are great as always. I love the turn of the century period, so I mean that movie just works for me. Terminator and Terminator 2 on DVD. I need to get this DVD sucks so much. There's like I think it's falling apart somewhere. I can't tell. Where was it? I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but it's a stupid DVD. I gotta get it on Blu-ray, because that's how Terminator is meant to be seen. But the second one is definitely the best, I feel. It's just like more streamlined. He had a bigger budget. He's just kind of more on top of things in the second one. But the first one is enjoyable too. It's really well written for what it is. Like these time travel, intricate plot of, it's like the post-apocalypse concept is one thing, but to take it to a new level and add like, okay, this guy's coming back to stop the guy who will stop the apocalypse. It's just like, oh my gosh, okay. There Will Be Blood, the only other Paul Thomas Anderson movie I own. Phenomenal, masterpiece. The Thing, John Carpenter, phenomenal horror. The thing I like about John Carpenter is he keeps his movies like under rein and held back, and he doesn't divulge too much, which is like wonderful. You know, he knows what to not show, which I admire. Three Amigos, cheap Blu-ray, hilarious in a few moments, couple moments. Steve Martin, wonderful. You know, they're all great together. Toy Story 3, I don't own the other two, and I need to. This was a great movie. Pixar, kind of before Pixar started to go downhill a little bit and do just decent movies, you know, instead of just masterpiece after masterpiece. Great. Trainspotting. This is like if Tarantino did a drug movie. I think it was Ewan McGregor's first movie. You know, it's like Danny Boyle, who did, you know, Sunshine, 28 Days Later, what's the other one I'm thinking of? 127 Hours. I really enjoyed this movie. It is kind of like a more, like Requiem for a Dream, but more, you know, bouncy and fun and not as, you know, depressing, because Requiem for a Dream, like, kills your emotions in every way. So now we're going down here to this stuff. This is kind of like the overflow I have here. Kind of try to pull this out. I guess I'll go down from the top down. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I love this movie. It's just great. Roald Dahl makes amazing children's stories with like a twist to them. You know, a little bit of like dark humor. Wayne's World. You know, just quotes. Classic movie. It's one of those movies. It's like people love this, but they'll hate something like, I don't know, Shaun of the Dead or Dumb and Dumber, when really they all are on the same page, because it's like the people, the characters are dumb, but the jokes are smart. It's like the quality of the writing is what's good, not like the jokes on the surface. I mean, it's random, great, fun. V for Vendetta, kind of a not underrated, but kind of overlooked movie. Sort of from the Wachowski brothers, kind of. Brothers and sister now, I don't know. It's an interesting movie. I'd recommend seeing it. I don't really know what my opinion is on it. Vertigo, this is another kind of like custom cover thing. I'm not sure how I feel about this movie. It's the weirdest thing. It's one of the most highly regarded Hitchcock movies ever, and I'm kind of like on the fence about it. I didn't enjoy it a whole ton the first time I saw it. It didn't strike me. But it has grown on me a little bit, and I need to watch it again. The Usual Suspects. Who made this? I don't think I know the guy. It's Bryan Singer, duh. The Usual Suspects. Complex mystery movie with a famous twist that everyone remembers. Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood's last Western, and it's almost like Red Dead channeled this a little bit, I think, because it's similar to Red Dead in some fashions like that. Really good movie, you should watch that. Uncle Buck, one of my other first movies I owned. I don't know, it was $5. It has funny parts, and you know, it's just one of the classic John Hughes movies. The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. This is, you know, who made this? I feel like I should know who made this. Peter Weir. It doesn't ring a bell. This is a great movie. It's heartfelt. It's kind of life-affirming. It's an interesting concept that was executed well. Jim Carrey does a good role, and it's a nice movie. And Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Humphrey Bogart. This was another cheap movie, I think. Where did I get this? I think this was at Walmart. Yeah, this is like a Walmart cover. It sucks. Just a movie about greed, basically. Like an interesting movie. Classic, as usual. And then we have kind of my movies, my television shows here. This is an AFI documentary about cinematography and like directors of photography. I haven't watched it all. I like it because it's like a real, legitimate, thick case, as opposed to these stupid cases that are like They recycle. And they're like, flimsy. But this is like a solid case, and I love it. I haven't watched this whole thing, but I really liked what I've seen of it so far. I need to really finish this thing up. It's good. I haven't seen this whole series, but I bought it because it was like $15, and it's the whole, it's just one season. But it's Joss Whedon. Cabin in the Woods was a great movie. It's a Western in space. How can you go wrong? A lot of people really adore this show, and I need to give it a finish. And my favorite show of all time, Breaking Bad. I own all the seasons. I can't wait for the 5th one to finish up in August. I adore this show. The writing is unparalleled. I've never seen anything like it before. The acting, Bryan Cranston shouldn't be losing to whatever his face is in Homeland right now at the Golden Globes. This show, I can't speak about it enough, really. I just love it to death. Give it a watch if you haven't. Get past the first 5 episodes and you'll be hooked, for sure. So that's kind of that. I have other things here and there, but they've been borrowed. I have Schindler's List. I have The Shining. Like I said, I have Fear and Desire. So all these different things that I kind of have that people borrowed. Evil Dead 1 and 2. Unforgiven needs to go back in there anyway. But this has been my collection of movies and everything. I hope you liked watching the video. I'll try to do another one once this is doubled in size. Kind of do focus on the movies I hadn't talked about yet, because I covered all these. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next thing of whatever I make. Peace.